Could there be any evidence that Senator McCain might be pushing hyperbolic allegations of voting fraud?
And of that relationship. We need to know the full extent of Senator Obama's relationship with ACORN, who is now on the verge of maybe perpetrating one of the greatest frauds in voter history in this country, maybe destroying a fabric of democracy.
Any evidence, perhaps, that Mr. Mucasey is responding to political pressure coming in, say, the last days of the campaign, when even Justice Department guidelines discourage these investigations precisely because of partisan concerns. September 16th, Assistant House Republican Whip Tom Feiney and 38 others write to Mucasey about ACORN. Last Friday, House Republican Whip Roy Blount and 5 others write to Mucasey about ACORN. On Tuesday, Republican Senator John Cornen writes to Mucasey about ACORN. 3 Republicans from the battleground state of Wisconsin write to Mucasey about ACORN. Yesterday, 2 senior DOJ officials revealed the ACORN investigation to the Associated Press. To quote, they spoke on condition of anonymity because DOJ regulations forbid discussing ongoing investigations, particularly so close to an election. Today, this RNC Republican press release, quote, the New Mexico Republican Party say they believe 28 people voted fraudulently in June. The chairman of the New Mexico Republican Party is Alan Way, the same GOP chief who asked Carl Rove in 2005 to fire New Mexico's state U.S. Attorney David Iglasies, precisely because Iglasies had refused to toe the line on pursuing bogus voter fraud claims. Rachel Maddow on the politics in a moment. First, we're joined now by the general counsel to the Obama campaign, Bob Bauer, whose letter to Attorney General Mucasey we just quoted. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Have we got this pretty much right here, that you're essentially raising the possibility, asking for a special prosecutor to determine whether the McCain campaign is essentially conspiring with the Republican National Committee and in what would be probably a pretty crucial illegal part with official government elements at the White House, at the Justice Department, to create this phony appearance of widespread voting fraud that lends itself to crackdowns that wind up only suppressing Democratic votes?
You do have it right. You have it exactly right. And I think it's important, Keith, if I could, to put it within the broader context of the kind of negative, unprecedentedly vicious and negative campaign that the McCain-Palin campaign is currently running. Wherever you look, at every level, you see these tactics being used, and now this toxin appears to have entered into the Justice Department not too long after the administration promised to clean up after the U.S. attorney dismissals and the scandal over the U.S. attorney dismissals. So what we're seeing here is, I'm afraid to say, evidence that on another level, yet again, along with the robocalls, along with the negative ads, along with all of these activities, these viciously negative activities, we now have legal tactics that are being used of a similarly vicious nature, and they threaten to poison the Department of Justice and the impartial administration of the law. We're asking Attorney General Mucasey, who came to the Department of Justice to clean up after the U.S. attorney scandal, to take the action necessary to remove this matter from, frankly, political hands and put them in independent hands. And you pointed out there is a special prosecutor, Nora Danahy, who could easily take this on and make it part of her expanded responsibilities.
Can you, Mr. Bauer, connect the dots for me? Explain why and how crackdowns on voting fraud would reduce Democratic votes disproportionately to Republican votes.
Well, there's an attempt here at all phases of this campaign to smear, and this is a smear on voters. It's an attempt to discourage people from voting, to drive them away from the polls. And there's a variety of ways that voters are discouraged and voters are subject to these smears. And as I said, you have to see it as all part of a piece. Whether it's the robocalls that even today, by the way, Republican Senator Susan Collins asked the McCain campaign to take down in the state of Maine, or the sleazy legal tactics repudiated today by unanimous Ohio Supreme Court, or the senior Justice Department officials now engage apparently in colluding for partisan political purposes in violation of department policy. At every single one of these levels, you see this behavior taking place. And so I think now with the report of these officials who, you point out, knew that what they were doing was wrong, told the reporters that what they were doing violated departmental policy, it's time for Mucasey, Attorney General Mucasey, to do what other Republicans of good conscience and independence have done, which is to repudiate this negativity and start to entrusting government to responsible people, and politics, quite frankly, kept out of it. What would the smoking gun be here, sir? Well, what you have is a newspaper article By the way, 24 hours, less than 24 hours after John McCain thundered, as your opening showed, about vote fraud threatening the very fabric of our democracy, right thereafter, almost precisely as you would expect the Republican National Committee and the McCain-Palin campaign to plot it, lo and behold, senior department officials, admitting they were violating departmental policy, announced that an investigation of fraud was underway. This is an astonishing repeat of the kind of toxic intrusion of politics into the lawful administration of justice that we saw during the U.S. Attorney scandal. We're seeing a repeat of that. Now, as I said, Attorney General Mucasey came to clean the Department of Justice out, so he has a chance to purge this toxin from the system, and the way that he would do that is to take this to Special Prosecutor Danahy. She would be in a position to investigate the coordination of this campaign, this illegal campaign, this disreputably negative campaign that's subverting the administration of justice. She'd be in a position to collect information about who those senior departmental justice officials were, and we would begin, hopefully, to have government entrusted to people who would do their responsibility.
The General Counsel for the Democratic presidential nominee, Bob Bauer, great thanks for explaining this for us tonight.
Thank you very much.